So this is a video reviewing the amcrest 4K 30 frames per second POA camera, 8 megapixel. I bought this camera as a replacement for a rear security camera, one that's lasted a few years running in 1080p, but was having some issues with it during the rain. So I'm really interested in seeing how this top lip works and whether that's better. So let's have a look. First thing to say is the box is very small, quite compact actually, to think for a similar type of price. Sometimes manufacturers will put these in a bigger box and have a grand opening presentation. Let's see what's in the box. Well padded with a lid. Looks like a guide for drilling the holes. Some cables. Screws and roll plugs. And the camera itself. So very similar to a previous camera here. It's got power adapter port and the network cable. One of the challenges with this though is getting these through a hole in the wall and then making good afterwards. So I'll have a look at that later. Opening up the camera. So it looks like you can adjust the lens, the rain cover on top here. I'll have a go at that later. Let's wrapper on. Looks quite a neat setup actually. I'd be interested to see when I open it up to mount what it looks like. But it looks like here, routing the cable through the back. It's got a cutout, so that should work quite neatly, and also be good for me while replacing the existing camera. So I've got it all connected up to my network. I just put my PoE cable in here. Camera fired up absolutely fine. There's no visible LEDs or otherwise on the camera to let you know it's turned on, actually, interestingly, that I could see. So this is a bit redundant, a bit annoying, to be honest. It's a shame the cable doesn't plug just straight directly into the back of the camera. Anyway, not to matter. We'll sort that out outside when we come and hang it up. So then I went to our web browser and I needed a username and password. Had a look in for the quick start guide. It wasn't in the box, but quick Google online and I found this guide. Scroll to where it seems to be trying to get you set up with an app, but it asks for the username and password, and it suggests admin. Type that in, and here we go. So you can see here, connected in, really fast, low latency, really good quality on the high quality, the mainstream. Had a look at the substream here, and still actually fairly good quality, but you can notice that it's it's not as sharp. And I just spent a bit of time going through all the settings really. I like to have a look at what's going on in here, and in particular, when I was in here, I went to peer-to-peer under networking and turned that off. I really don't like anything like that on my network. What I'm going to do with this camera is add it into my home CCTV setup called Shinobi. So I went through all the different settings. There's nothing I need in here in terms of dynamic DNS, although I noticed they've got their own setup, which is quite handy. They also here seem to offer you a cloud storage setup. I don't want anything like that. I've got my own, but it's useful to know. What I was interested in, and I might have a little look later anyway, is under storage, you've got a destination, and it seems to be that it will mount a network attached storage device, which I haven't come across with any of the previous cameras I've used before. So really interesting to know that. When you go on here, you can see the settings to add. So I had a look through all the settings. I checked to see if there were any updates. click manual check, says it is the latest version. Good to know. I haven't set it to do anything automatically in here. There is this setup called auto maintain and auto reboot. I prefer it not to do that, just in case anything goes awry. So then the next thing I had to do was go in here and click manage users, and I thought, right, I want to know what username exists on this system. So it's admin. It did prompt me when I first logged in to change that password, and then I noticed that was obviously set as an admin, so I've created a new user which just has user level privileges, and that's for me to be able to add to my CCTV system. Back under networking, it does note that the RTSP port is 554, the default. So I tried adding this to my Shinobi setup, and initially it could certainly detect the camera was there, but I didn't have the stream address. So I spoke to support online, and within a minute they came back and gave me the path that I needed to add in order to add this into my software. I'll pop this in the comments of the video because I thought this was really helpful. I couldn't find this online in the technical guide, or certainly not in the quick start guide, which I wouldn't expect. Anyway, here we go. It's in Shinobi, and you'll see here, whilst there is a couple of seconds lag, actually it's just as sharp as in the app, and it's working well. So overall, I have to say that was a really painless setup, and I'm going to go and put it on the rear of my garage now. Now, in order to get this through here, I've had to drill quite a sizable hole. And so the finished result, 4 screws in, actually quite a neat setup. Thankfully, there was a spare screw included, and I'll show you why. The screws provided were a little bit soft, so yeah, 5th screw in, because you can't detach the head as you put the base on. But actually a really neat setup, and you can see how I've put the rain cover out over, so we'll see what that's like in bad weather. And the finished result is a wide angle rear garage camera. Works really well. In fact, far better than my previous camera, which didn't have this full width coverage. I'm really impressed with that. And what I will be doing on the software is using the privacy mask around those windows of those houses at the rear so that I remain compliant.